Welcome back to the AutoTech Effect 2020 NADA here in Las Vegas. This afternoon I'm going to be speaking with Austin Ledgerwood, Vice President of Automotive at Cover Genius, which is a very unique insurance company leveraging technology within our industry. Well, Austin, thanks for being here today.
Thanks for having me.
You know, a lot of people are wondering, there's a lot of technology startups, a lot of new companies coming into the space. I find Cover Genius very intriguing. I mean, I read a lot about what you guys are doing. But I think that the industry needs some clarity about what it means and what this technology means to insurance as you're bringing it out to the masses. So why don't we kind of start there? Why don't you talk a little bit about Cover Genius, the core, what the ethos is, and then we'll just go from there.
Absolutely. Thanks, John. Well, one of the really interesting pieces about Cover Genius is that it's very much focused on providing businesses the ability to offer insurance products. And those products could range everything covering retail transactions, logistics, to business services, into automotive, which is my wheelhouse. Our specialty is our API. It is a very dynamic platform that's able to return products that are specific to a consumer. Back in the day, Cover Genius started about 4 years ago, a little over 4 years ago, by two individuals, Angus McDonald and Chris Bailey. And it really kind of was born out of the necessity around driving and getting rental cars, and how it was hard to get insurance products for while you're short-term rental. And then also it was very tricky around, it was very one solution fits all. So they were very focused on creating the platform that gives customer-specific products. And that's kind of where we've morphed into now when it comes to automotive. One of the key things that we're looking at is how to better keep a consumer involved with a automotive transaction. That's really something we're trying to help enhance that sticky experience that all the dealers are looking for.
So you're an enhancement to the buying process at the retail level, so in the store. But explain more. So business to consumer, you're making it easier for this consumer to obtain insurance at time of purchase, and facilitate the sale, obviously, because we all know that the frictionless transactions, if you will, or time to sale, speed in the dealership, all those things are important. That's where Cover Genius kind of inserts itself. But you also do more on the platform level, on the B2B side. Not so much consumer, dealer to consumer, but dealer to other platforms and platforms to other platforms.
So absolutely. I mean, one of the great partnerships we've just launched is with Automatrix. It's a DMS, dealer management system, located out of Florida, and they're just a really sharp technology advanced group. And what we've done is create the opportunity, as you alluded to, for a consumer at the time of purchase when they're buying a car, that they're able to be presented with insurance quotes. And it's not the normal F&I products, which we are also going to support, but it's the, hey, let me call State Farm, hey, let me call Liberty Mutual to get my policy changed. Now we're presenting consumers, especially those first-time buyers, the opportunity to see insurance quotes. And what's key here is that the dealership isn't selling, they're simply presenting. Cover Genius is the agent, we're the licensed presenter of the information. It's just now in an easy, accessible way for a consumer to lock it down or to see what the true cost of ownership is going to be. That's really what we've driven for a dealer to continue providing that sticky experience. Now, when you talked about business to business, our key focus is enabling a business to present insurance products to their consumers. That's really where our sweet spot is, as I mentioned, our API to return customer-specific products. But it could range in everything from cell phones to gym equipment, cars, logistics, and shipping. We're at the center point for all those transactions by creating a very seamless, easy experience for that business to present an insurance option.
So before Cover Genius came into our industry, walk me through an example of what would occur at a dealership now. Saturday afternoon, I'm coming in to buy a car. First-time buyer, currently have no coverage, no trade. So what would happen typically at a dealership now? And why is Cover Genius, and how has it changed that?
So there's this big gap that the dealerships aren't prepared to really present any kind of solution or pathway to a solution. You have multiple dealerships that have a agent, that a local agent, insurance agent that takes up office space there, who's usually never there on a Saturday, never there after 5 p.m. during the weekdays. So the dealer has either the opportunity to kind of say, oh, well, you should look at Progressive, or you should look at, the General. Or let me call Hank and see if Hank can come over here and get this done. And really what you're doing is you're creating this separate experience outside of your own. So especially if I'm a first-time buyer and I call an insurance company and I say, hey, here's my information on the car. The fun part is that the dealer already has all that information and it's stored in the DMS. So why not have that information supplied automatically to bring that information? Because the process now is, and this is just if I called an insurance company, hey, I'm buying this car. Here's all the information. And I have to get all this information from the dealer, like the VIN and the banking information. And then I answered, 5 to 7 questions about me, about my driving history. And then the insurance company will give me a quote. And I'm going to have to go ahead and get coverage because I can't drive the car off the lot without it if I don't have any pre-existing. Mm-hmm. And then what's fun is they send all the information that I just gave them back to the dealer who gave me the information, which seems like a circle to get
a
long ways away from where you really wanted to be.
I can kind of see now the transparency in it and the benefit to the consumer. So if I'm a dealer and I elect to engage with Coverage Genius, or I'm using a DMS platform or any of my other retail platforms that you guys are partnered with, I feel like you guys are aggregating and seeking the best deal for me, which in turn kind of puts the dealer, in my opinion, in the best light. If I were to come into a dealership and buy some insurance from a broker that you recommended to me, you're the dealer, and then I later go on and find that I could have gotten that insurance for, say, even $100 less per month, who am I going to be mad at? Not the broker. I'm just going to cancel and go with a new insurance. But I'm also going to feel like the dealer kind of maybe took advantage of me or didn't give me all the best options. Wasn't transparent in pricing and options. Right?
I think you're right on. I would take it even a step further, is to say that all of the dealers are trying to create this all-encompassing, I keep saying sticky experience. All of the digital retailers like Carvana, Vroom, are all trying to create this experience to where somebody doesn't have to leave to do something in regards to that purchase. Because kind of what you mentioned, if I call and just have a horrible experience on the line with a carrier, and then I hang up, I've had a bad experience that I'm in the dealership, I'm associating it with the purchase. It just creates this mindset that, hey, dealer, you spend all this money on having coffee and cookies out by the service lane, and you have this pristine showroom, and you've given great customer experience, except for this one thing that the consumer has to have, but you have no influence. And again, very careful influence. The dealer's not selling the auto insurance. They're just presenting them with options. They're not selling.
And so what do you see? Do you see dealers adopting this, or do you see dealers still taking that kind of arms off approach? Like, we don't want to sell insurance. We don't want to get into that decision-making process. Sort that out on your own, regardless of the bad customer experience or the time it takes to actually purchase vehicle. They don't want to touch it. Do you run into that when you're out there talking to dealers, or are dealers saying, "Oh, finally, there's a solution here now that we're going to alleviate this problem"? We're aware of the problem, and we haven't been able to find a valid solution. So now that Coverage Genius is here, we're all on board. Or are you still seeing some pushback?
So no, we're getting lots of great feedback. I mean, there's always going to be the trepidation that I've just got them into a 7-year loan or a 6-year loan at $500 a month, and now the insurance is going to be an additional $100 a month. Does that create a situation where I may lose the deal? A key point that I want to stress is the dealer isn't selling insurance when we're involved. We're the ones who are actually selling the product. They are simply presenting information, and the consumer has the ability to do it, not do it. It's very much the same now, except now it's just part of the experience. I don't have to step out. I don't have to have Hank come in. So for a dealer, and the ones that we've talked to that are great partners with AutoMatrix, they've all said, God, we would love to have that as part of it. Because it's something as simple as an iPad being handed over to them and saying, hey, this populated. you have the ability to select these. If you don't, we still go through with this transaction. I'm not in the business of selling insurance. I'm just presenting you with an option.
Yeah, I mean, the way you describe it, it doesn't seem. It seems like it's intrinsic to the sales process. There's so many of these things that I always call non-systemic portions of the sales process, right? Insurance has always been one of those, right? So when you're walking through your road to the sale and you're making your transaction, you're going through F&I, and you're doing all these things. There is a break and a pause where somebody has, do you have proof of insurance? They don't have any insurance yet. Well, they're going to have to get some insurance before we go forward. We can't even structure a deal yet, right? So you guys are alleviating that. So let's think about this. So if you're showing options to consumers, how many options are you showing, one? And then two, what type of insurance companies are you working with?
So we have partnerships with all major carriers. So all the big ones and all the small ones. And what's important there is that we looked at it from a standpoint of some insurance carriers are very strong in certain markets. Some insurance carriers will not insure some of the more riskier deals, or trying to think how to phrase this, maybe some buy here, pay here opportunities, the non-standard rates.
Sure.
So for us, we have a Rolodex of insurance carriers that we partner with. I think one of the key aspects for us is that we are, in a sense, agnostic, because we want that consumer to get the best coverage that they want. We've designed a couple different options. There's the strategy of the good, better, and best, which the good may be state minimum, better has a couple, maybe a higher liability, and then the best, maybe you put roadside or some other factors in there. And then we've also seen it from a standpoint of, hey, here's one simple quote. Because what we don't try to do is be kind of the kayak model to where it's going to show all the different carriers. We would much rather be specific to one carrier in a market and give the best rate from that carrier. It cuts down on a lot of the ambiguity and also the competitiveness.
Gotcha. So if I don't use one of your DMS partners, let's say I'm on a traditional system, a legacy system, where and how do I integrate with Cover Genius? Where are you going to be in my sales process? Do I have to call you and integrate with you first? If you're not integrated with my DMS company, where can you fit in? My CRM, my digital retailing platform? If I'm an individual dealer or I own a group of stores, how can I work with Cover Genius integrated?
Absolutely. So if I'm a dealer and you don't have this product, I would reach out to your DMS first and say, hey, we'd be very interested in looking into this. We've heard about Cover Genius. That's obviously the easy one, easy route to go through. But for us, we're really focused on the DMS aspect. We see a lot of opportunity there, not only with the full auto coverage, but also working with great companies like Axiom to provide further warranty products. For us, we're not the direct B2C. We do have some different products that in other verticals that we participate with, but our true design is to be just a simple integrated piece of already a great platform. Gotcha. That's what we see. We don't want to create a separate environment.
Sure.
There may be a point to where we've looked at it to where if a dealer or a small business doesn't have a DMS or a larger platform, I think there's an opportunity to build out a way for them to source products through this, through a Cover Genius branded site or app. But in the short term, I really think there's a much stronger play with DMS players, CRM tools, the general operational software that dealers run off of, and digital retailers as well.
Yep. So, it's exciting that we're hearing this, that you're very systemic and that you're enhancing the sales process. So where do you see Cover Genius 1-2 years from now? Where do you see the industry? And do you think more and more of this is going to go towards these platform transactions? And it sounds like you guys are going to be a big part of that. So why don't you talk about that a little bit? Absolutely.
The long play is to become more ingrained in the digital retailing. I think everyone in this business sees that as where this industry is going. I don't think it takes away from a dealership. I still think there's a lot of value in interacting with dealerships, but you'll see more and more of them try to push transactions farther upstream by using third-party aggregators like AutoTrader or Cars.com. So there's a real design to have this all-encompassing experience, and it only makes sense for a company like Cover Genius to be part of that transaction, providing whether it's full auto coverage or any kind of warranty or service contract to help build that relationship. Because the last thing you want a consumer to do is to have a bad experience or do it outside of your experience. And if you are purely digital, you want them to stay there. You know, it's kind of like the old days when a dealer would, you know, grab your keys and throw it up on the roof. They're going to figure out and they want to drive that to happen digitally. And that's where Cover Genius is really going to excel and help all of these different avenues for car sales to happen have that truly sticky insurance experience.
Awesome. Well, listen, thanks for sharing your vision, telling us a little bit more about Cover Genius. I know I was intrigued. I was looking forward to this and speaking with you. And I'm sure a lot of other people do, because I know I get a lot of questions about, you know, hey, you talk about Cover Genius a lot and you engage with it, but what is it exactly they do? And I think you shared that today.
No, thank you for giving us this forum. This is great. Thank you very much.
All right, thanks.